are these people?
And I'm so glad that we've got some independent writers still over on Substack, because it is being infiltrated with shit libs and corporate media, and they're getting like massive views over there, thousands of likes. And, you know, here we are at independent media. We got our 14, 15 likes and our 5 restacks and a couple of comments. And that's good for us. Like, and man,
only likes matter. Likes rule all.
And Andy Worthington is a fucking Indie Media Award honoree. He's one of the best of the best, all right? Close Guantanamo.
He's simply the best.
Close Guantanamo. He's one of the activists that was a co-founder of Close Guantanamo. And he also was writing about how the Trump administration has been ignoring court orders. And this is where we're, again, having this slippery slope into authoritarianism. If the courts don't have any impact and things are being done without congressional approval by dictatorial fiat, effectively, or by one of the pre-designated billionaires that also now has the ability to make these decisions somehow, like Elmo, yeah, what are we? I mean, we're certainly not a democracy, whatever the fuck that means now. But anyway, as Andy indicates, U.S. courts fight back against Trump's lawless deportation obsession. Trump faces increasing opposition in the courts to the cruel arbitrariness of his war on migrants, and elected representatives also seek to address the impact of clearly wrongful deportations. They don't care because there's no repercussions on them. And look at this. This is a photo of mealtime at CCOT. No, it's a horrific photo of stripped and dehumanized prisoners on an industrial scale in CCOT in El Salvador, made available by the presidential press office on March 15th because they're bragging about it. When the first plane loads of migrants arrived from the U.S., Venezuelan migrants. He starts by saying, this week is a long time in Donald Trump's war on migrants, or a week, all right? And in my latest long read on my website, okay, which I hope you'll have time to read, I provide a detailed analysis of the last 7 days of ongoing legal challenges up to and including the Supreme Court to prevent the admin from sending Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador's CCOT megaprison, which I've previously described as a mega Guantanamo, where tens of thousands of men are held indefinitely without charge or trial. He says, I also report on the interventions by elected representatives in Congress in an effort to secure the return of men wrongly sent to the CCOT prison, which, again, both El Salvador and the Trump administration are fighting those efforts. The Supreme Court had previously issued rulings demanding that no one be deported without a habeas hearing, and that a Maryland resident, Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, who we've reported on before and was sent to El Salvador because of an administrative error, be returned. Now, the right wing has turned Abrego Garcia into a talking point, that he had a record, that he this and that he was a bad guy, that he was MS-13, that he had tattoos on his knuckles that indicated that because
he died of a fentanyl overdose. It's same shit, different day.
But he also then you had his senator, Chris Van Hollen, fly down to CCOT and what's his name? Bukele let him out for lunch to go to a fancy restaurant and have drinks to stage a ambushed photo op that was then used to paint it as, oh, look at your senator pandering to get to illegals. I mean, it's the worst crap that they absolutely spun the way that they intended to make it look a certain way, but it's not that way at all. And again, Andy's saying that
It's a psyop.
both rulings have been shamefully ignored by the Trump administration, which has continued to send men to El Salvador without a hearing and without any effort by the executive branch to demonstrate that it has evidence establishing that they're gang members, as alleged. They don't care.
Nope.
in cahoots with El Salvador's dictatorial...
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Well, I think part of this also is because they're going after Maduro in Venezuela.
Yeah.
Right? So they're taking all of the able-bodied men, potentially, even the ones that don't have criminal records at all, that might be leaving, that might even be staying, and they're bringing them into CCOT. Again, I'm not even 100% sure that all of these migrants are people that were even trying to necessarily come here. I'm not sure I believe that anymore. I think that this is an effort to try to weaken Venezuela as a country in general. All right. So Andy continues, in cahoots with El Salvador's dictatorial president, Nayib Bukele, the administration has also refused to secure the return of Abrego Garcia. In a third ruling on April 19th, the Supreme Court imposed a temporary ban on any Venezuelans being sent to El Salvador pending further review. The admin has not yet sought to imperiously sweep that ban aside, but their every action to date has shown complete contempt for the Supreme Court, which is weird because 3 of their members were appointed by Trump, and for the many other lower courts across the country that have been resisting its outrageous claims to have the right to send Venezuelans to CCOT without providing any evidence that they're gang members. Even an ICE agent saying they have a tattoo, we've covered this before, was legitimate grounds for them to claim that they were gang members. On the contrary, every indication shows that, in fact, the deportations are fundamentally arbitrary, based largely on ICE officials' flawed assessments of the significance of the men's tattoos, and with many of the men deported from ICE facilities despite having ongoing hearings regarding their asylum claims. So I guess they were here. That's a lot of people claiming asylum from Venezuela. What's going on there? The battle here, as I discussed this week with Chris Cook on his Guerrilla Radio show in Canada, which he linked in his article and available there, is very clearly one in which the Trump admin believes it has the right to deport migrants on a one-way trip to a brutal and unaccountable prison in another country without any due process and without any interest in whether they are guilty or not of any crime whatsoever. Why? Is it just straight up racism? I mean, I don't know the answer.
It's a whole bunch of shit.
He says it's also clear that the Trump admin is determined to try to crush any and all opposition in the courts to what it regards as its right to exercise unfettered executive power, or as we might want to more accurately describe it, executive tyranny.
Yeah.
The courts must not...
I think this is just mainly you better do what the fuck we say or else. These are heads on a spike on the castle wall, you know? So...
Yep.
Like, that's what I feel like, at least.
Okay, he says he discusses the abduction of Mahmoud Khalil and the broken politics of the U.S. and the U.K. All right, he did a podcast about that. All right, he says he provides a brief update about the many other deportations sought by the Trump admin, primarily of students like Mahmoud Khalil. We've covered him extensively, who supported the Palestinian cause. Yeah, kind of. Yes, he has. And we read that article also by his friend about who he is as a person. I recently wrote about Khalil in an article and followed up with a podcast, which I discussed with my colleague Andy Bungie in an interview that was initially broadcast on his show on Wandsworth Radio, a community radio station in London. You listen to that on YouTube, which we discussed the wider collapse of politics under Trump and also under Kid Starver in the UK, Keir Starmer, aka. So this is, again, a long article over at andyworthington.co.uk. Again, that is his much longer article with much more detail. And then he's even got responses here. I actually shared this article on Substack. I think I might have commented below. Is this the comment? I don't remember. No, it was him. It was there. I did a restack. So one of the two restacks, or one of the four restacks is me. And if you look at it, I said here, if you're not paying close enough attention, then you're falling behind. The U.S. government has begun its persecution of dissidents. They're just starting with the immigrants that speak up for themselves. But make no mistake, they'll be coming for everyone who speaks out, including me. I have no misconceptions about that. And please subscribe to Andy Worthington to stay informed. Because you're not getting very many stories like this from many places. Especially outside the U.S., I think you've got a more level-headed viewpoint of it from outside the U.S. as to what's really happening than a lot of the people that seem to be wrapped up in it. Arturo is different, but still, he's still hoping Democrats will do something. I think Andy realizes the Democrats aren't going to do anything.
Why? Yeah.
We are demonetized on YouTube, so if you're able to, and of means, please take care of your family, take care of yourselves, and if you find a couple bucks between the couches, you can drop that over at Cash App, $, Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network, and over at innnewsletter.com and indiemediatoday.com. Those are all different ways. Thank you to support independent media. Support independent media, folks. We need it more than ever. I love you all.
Ciao, baby. Bye, Felicia.
No! We just fucking lost the stream.
Can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? And now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen. What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? God, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me.